my mindset now is much more focused on building something beautiful and prosperous and flourishing instead of just like domination and, pushing forward and conquering. Like that's really not even a relevant consideration in my mind anymore. And part of it was because like, if I'm going to have these beautiful little girls running around, like I need the world to be a place that is conducive to their beauty flourishing, like the beauty of their soul continuing to grow in the environment that we have created as a generation.
Good afternoon. My name is Derek Hines, and I am the managing partner here at Gaddis Premier Wealth Advisors. And I've got Jeremiah Taylor with me. Jeremiah's been a good friend for 4 or 5?
Dude.
6 years?
6 or 7.
6 or 7 years. So thanks for joining our podcast. So how did we meet? How did we share an office for a while?
Nope. Business Life Group.
Yep.
That was the very first introduction. You showed up in a cowboy hat. And
that's right.
And like a vest, like a real cowboy.
Yeah.
And I was like, who's this guy?
Yeah.
And it was Eric Huffman.
He's the guy that his back is out because he tried to ride a horse.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's how it started.
Well, so yeah, you showed up at the business. They did it on Sundays to make it easier for people to get
to.
And so I think we were both kind of new to the church, and Eric had it, and it was me, you, Keener, Drew.
Yep.
I don't know if Drew was at that one, but we were kind of in that room. Mm-hmm. And you showed up and we just started talking, and then you said you were in this line of work. I love finance, investments, and that stuff. So I was like, oh, we could have conversations.
Yeah.
I was a part of Pastor Lee put together at my request. I was like, hey, well, that's actually, I have to give my wife credit for that.
Yeah. We
were new to the church, and Pastor Lee came up and shook my hand. And I like shaking people's hands, talking to them or whatever.
Yeah.
Nothing new there. But she said, hey, you need to take that guy to lunch. Now, I have no idea he's a pastor. I just know this guy comes up and he shakes my hand, and she said, that guy is so full of joy. There's something about him. You need to take him to lunch.
Yeah. Little did you know, he shook everybody's hand.
No idea. I had no idea.
Everybody.
Yeah, he just walked around to another. Yeah, no idea. But I felt so special in that moment, and my wife saw the resonance and the purity of his soul. Mm-hmm. And so she's like, hey, take that guy out. So I was like, cool. So I just went back up after church. I was like, hey, this is maybe off, but I'd just like to get to know you a little bit. You want to go to, and I have no idea who he is,
Yeah. Yeah. Not just like Pastor Lee lunch, check.
So he's like, yeah, here's my office, my assistant's phone number. You can call her. She'll get it set up. Not in like a pretentious way, but just because like he's got, so how do I know he has a lunch every day
and
for
you're
the next 3 years?
This guy has an assistant?
Yeah, right.
Like more like I have to call his assistant.
Yeah, what does he do? So anyway.
My assistant actually call your assistant.
I'll give it to my
Marley,
wife.
please call her.
So we get the lunch set up and we go out. But the amazing thing about that was, he had just went through deep tragedy.
Yeah.
Like whenever we went to the church, I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact of the matter was, in this deep pit of tragedy that he had come out of, he was still like introduced in a way where my wife's lineup was, that man is exuding so much joy that you have to take him to lunch. We have to get to know him better. And I thought that was pretty remarkable. That was a remarkable experience. So from that, he invited me into his life group. Yeah. And so I got in his life group, and then I said, hey.
So the one at his house?
Yes.
Yeah.
And apparently I'm like.
I never made the 18.
I was going to say I'm an all-star.
I never made it.
Like one lunch and I was in. And, and that's like.
He's going to have to listen to this. And
I know.
Make sure he hears
that. Sorry. I was like a years-long waiting list normally.
That's
and
right.
I made it in. I don't know how I hacked the system, but that's God's favor.
Yeah, I'm sitting at the house lonely.
So in that life group, though, I asked him, I was like, hey, do you know any other businessmen? Like I'm new here. I'd like to get to know him. I think relationships are really important. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, yeah, I got a few guys we'll call. Yeah. And so we had a lunch. The first one was me, Eric Huffman, Kevin Keener, and Drew Jackson.
Yep.
And then a couple lunches in, they're like, hey, there's this guy, Derek Hines. We met him at the life group. You think?
Yeah, he's kind of weird. He's just won't go away.
Yeah, he keeps following up.
Yeah.
Might be worth having a conversation with. So by like the third lunch, we were like, yeah, bring him in. And so we brought you in. And then after that, we started to know each other. I needed an office. You had an empty office.
Yep.
And there we go. So that was probably where the depths began.
Yeah. Yeah. I still remember getting invited to that life group. We hadn't been in town very long, and we hadn't been in Victory very long either. So it was an honor to get invited to the life group.
Well, it was good times. And then it grew, and then it moved.
Times change. Time change. So, when we first, so you moved into our office, or we sort of sublet an office to you.
Mm-hmm.
You were doing appraisals, right? But entrepreneurship is kind of something I would say that's kind of at the core of who you are. So tell me a little bit about what you're into.
Yeah. So that's a loaded question, but basically in that season, I would be considered a third generation entrepreneur, but it kind of skips across because my dad's dad wasn't, but my mom's stepdad was. So how that links in is I was exposed as a little kid to like my grandpa owned a restaurant and he bought and sold land. So I got to see that side because we lived in their town. So I got to like experience that life running around, the freedom,
Yeah. And that was Antlers?
That was in Antlers. Yep.
Okay.
So
what kind of restaurant?
Barbecue. So Abel's Barbecue. He ran it for a long time. It's not open anymore. That's a long story, but he passed away probably 10 years ago. Yeah. But yeah, that was my closest relationship with a grandparent was with him. And I was like his little sidekick. So had that. Yeah. And then my dad had a print shop. Print shop turned into a real estate brokerage and appraisals. And then I had it on every side. Yeah. Kind of like we were talking about before the podcast, I did not do well in school. Had no interest in an academic track. Yeah.
Jeremiah's special. Maybe we'll talk about that more in a little bit.
Yeah, something like that. And so anyway, I think the word that was thrown out was perfect, but we'll get that in a second.
I think that was your mom, probably.
Yeah. So anyway, but in that vein, so I was like, I'm not going to go to college. So my first entrepreneurial experience was actually a recording studio. So that's why you brought up the headphones. I'm like, I've been here before. Yeah. It was a completely different context, but it's not the soundboard. That was my thing. So I had after high school, I had like a really bad run where it's like, I just didn't, I should have had good direction given the circumstances I was born into. Yeah. But I just, didn't use it the right way. So yeah, my dad comes to me. He's like, look, you're wanting this recording studio. I need this office building. If you will finish out the interior construction of this building alongside the contractors, like we have these contractors coming in to do it. If you'll work as their grunt, I will allocate this much of this building to your studio.
Yeah, your dad's smart.
Oh, yeah.
How old were you?
17. I graduated high school at 17. Yeah. Yeah, 17 going on 18.
I was like, your dad just let you finish out this building by yourself? It's like, no. You work for the guy.
You be the grunt. Yeah, you go carry all their stuff and hand out. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that was me. Yeah. So for like a summer, for several months, that was my job. So I was working for these guys for free. I lived in a studio apartment behind my parents' house. So I'd come and go, but I did that. And so I learned some construction trade in that season, started the recording studio. I did not understand markets. I didn't understand that Antlers, Oklahoma wasn't the high central market for a recording studio in 2000.
Next Nashville.
That's it. 2000. This would have been 2011. So like 2011, recording studio, like digital studios were just like becoming a thing. It wasn't like there was
Yeah, what was the draw to a recording studio?
Music. So music was my outlet all growing up. So I didn't go the traditional like playing sports and stuff. So like I raced motocross and I played music because those were more interesting. So growing up, I'd basically pick up any instrument and just jam on it. So by that time I had been to recording studios, recorded a couple, albums. And the last one I did, I played drums, piano, guitar, bass, sang, and I did a mandolin on one of the songs, all that stuff. So my love of music and my experience in those studios was like, oh, I can do this. Yeah. And so launched it and had basically like 2 clients over the first few months. I didn't know anything about marketing. I didn't know anything about sales. I didn't know anything about like how to orient myself. I was just like, not build it and they will come. Right. Yeah. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs make that mistake. Yes. They're like, I'm just going to build this thing. Yeah. And then the people are obviously going to show up and use me. That's right. And that is a lot.
I remember when I first started doing this, the guy that was training me, he's like, look, Derek, you need to understand, not everyone is as excited about you doing this as you are about you doing this.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that was it. So a few months in, basically the truth of it is, and again, you can edit this out if you need to, but sure. I went out on the pit. So we live lives of peaks and pits. And then the pit of this that created the transition for me was that I went out to a New Year's Eve party. I was not a partier in high school. I wasn't somebody that drank and did all that stuff, but I did like having fun, but it was normally just motocross or whatever. But I was in a season of life that's pretty difficult. I was navigating some things, and went to a New Year's Eve party, and I got really drunk, and I slept at the house that I was at, but I had to go to church the next day.
Do your parents know about this?
Yeah, yeah. No,
Okay.
you'll hear it. Okay, so
We won't edit it out then. I'm sure.
yeah, no. So in that, I get up the next morning, because part of the agreement of me having this, like living in the studio apartment, like you got to go to church. And then on top of that, I was the drummer for the church. So I get drunk New Year's Eve, sleep at this house on the couch, get up, drive home, throw up on the way home, get back in the car and go, get home, throw up again, wander upstairs to the shower, like lay in the shower. Like I'm not used to this. I don't do this. So this is like a new, not good.
Yeah.
And so
that's good. That's not necessarily something you want to get good at.
probably
get it proficient.
yeah. Lock it in, nail it down.
That's right.
So anyway, so I did that, get showered up, and drive to church for worship practice, and like pull over on the way there, throw up again, back in the car, go. And I'm like dying on the stage. Do the practice. I have to go like throw up out the side. Like they obviously knew something was up. Later I found out I smelled like it too. Apparently that shower doesn't just get rid of it the next day. I didn't. Again, I'm new to all this. So we go on, we're doing worship. My parents can tell. They're in the crowd.
Yeah.
They can tell something's up.
Thumbs up.
And we get to this place where the Holy Spirit takes over, Derek. And so the worship team's like, let's pause in this moment of like, we're all just, and I'm like, just finish. Like we got to just finish because I'm going to die up here. And so I was like, essentially, I don't remember the exact line of thought because it's been a long time. I was like, I'm out. Like I got to go. So I literally just stood up and walked off the stage, and they had to finish the worship without me. And I went home. So I'm laying upstairs with the lights off, just trying to survive. And, there's this like Godfather moment. And my mom and my dad's super chill.
Yeah.
Like super chill.
Yeah.
Really great guy. Wonderful. Like not the stern disciplinarian that most people think like this. Like he's a wonderful father, but it's not, it's never been that perspective.
Yeah.
And the door opens up at the studio apartment. I'm like laying facing the wall, and I hear these footsteps, and then I roll over, and he's sitting in the recliner behind me in the dark. And I'm like, and he's one of those guys where like, when he's serious, okay, now it's serious.
Yeah.
I really messed up. And so basically it was like, all right, your recording studio's done and you have to go get a job. The guy across the street who built our house, who you helped work on the office, I bet he'd hire you if you go talk to him. You need to go get a job. You're gonna have to start paying some bills. Yeah. And which this was only a couple months after we finished building. So it's not like I was like mooching off my parents forever. But it was one of those moments. And so I was like, okay. And then so he gets to leave and says, and take another shower. You're going to church tonight. I was like, because we had church on Sunday nights too. I was like, oh no, like, I don't know how I'm going to survive this. So then he leaves. My mom comes up, brings me coffee. She's like, this will help. And she's normally the one that's a little more, it's just in our personalities. She's a lot like me. In that, and she was like, here, drink this, it'll make you feel better. And so I don't remember what happened after that, but I went and got a job working on job sites as a grunt for a couple years. I'm trying to remember where we were. Oh, you asked me. So recording studio. So what dreamed the recording studio? Then you're getting a job. You got a job kind of doing manual labor construction. I'm assuming that's why you decided to go to college. No. Again, this was the conversation we had before the podcast. The reward and punishment system isn't right. Like we were talking about that. No, it was more. Well, the exact thing that happened. I'm actually thinking I remember it, but I don't want to. I've been with the same woman. Since we got together whenever I was 15 and she was 13. And so I graduated. I did construction for, however long, a couple years after school. My dad was smart enough to be like, hey, go take some basics at the local Botech. Just go knock them out. You might never use them. Let's go I'll go with you. he's like, I'm trying to,
I've been wanting to go back to college too. Like,
yeah,
we'll do it together.
He's like, look, he had to get some credits for him to get licensure on some other things. So he's like, look, I got to go do these credits anyway. You might as well just come alongside me. We'll see. Yeah. And I graduated high school with such a bad GPA. Like, there's no way I was going to be able to go anywhere. Yeah. And I had a 2.3 when I graduated. So it can't get much worse. And graduate.
What? Yeah.
So we went to the Votech, got my basics knocked out. And then one day my wife not my wife at that time, my girlfriend goes to tour the campus at OSU. And she goes with like a group of her friends and their moms. And they come back and I hear one of them pop off something about frat guys.
Yeah. Well, this ain't happening.
Immediately I was like,
I'm going to OSU.
You're not going without me. So So I've
always wanted to go to OSU.
That's it. Yeah, Cowboys all the way. Go Pokes. So I got with, there was a teacher named Nicole Faber, Mrs. Faber. She was my algebra teacher in high school. God bless all my high school teachers. They endured a lot with me. But she helped me in the Votech to orient myself around what it would take to get accepted at OSU. And so through that relationship, which my whole life has just been a series of relationships. So through that relationship, she got me established well enough that I could figure out how to navigate the system. I applied. I got accepted as a transfer student. So I went to OSU and got a degree in economics and finance. Yeah. So
the take home there is you went with Marley.
If I did not have Marley, I would probably still be swinging a hammer. Yeah.
So he'd probably be a GC by now. Maybe not. No,
maybe not. I would hope so. Yeah, I would hope so. Yeah, probably, but I don't know.
Yeah, so you're still with Marley. Yeah, with Marley since
as of today. Right now,
as of today.
She's still tracking along.
Yeah, she just picked up the kids. Yeah, so tell me a little about your relationship with your wife, your family.
So. My wife and I, like I said, 15, 13, we have 3 kids. We have Penelope, Piper, and Benjamin. So,
okay. You got, we did a similar thing, right? JJT. So what's up with the B?
Well, so we thought we were going to have a boy. So Penelope actually broke a cycle. The Taylor family, my family, hadn't had a girl in like 5 generations. It was all boys. And so all the women were married in and just kept going. So my whole life was like, I'm gonna have a son. Yeah, that was I just knew I was gonna have a son.
The Penelope, Piper, and you're like, oh no.
Well, no. So we have the video. It's really funny. But my mom literally bought little boys' clothes. Whenever, like, I don't even know if Marley was pregnant yet. Like, we might have just been married, but she just knew. And when we were in high school, we had talked about the name Benjamin. Like, we had just the name, just kind of. I love Benjamin Franklin. I love Ben Franklin. Like, the whole thing just kind of made sense. And so anyway, we have the gender reveal, having a girl. My whole world shatters. So I'm like, what happens next? So there's like a complete worldview transformation that occurs. Yeah. And in the series of looking for names, Penelope, June is her name. And basically I love the frame and mythology of the faithful queen. So Penelope and, story of Odysseus, like that's a very powerful story to me. And in that season, it's actually really relevant to like our journey because our marriage had a lot of strength that came out of that season in that process. And so it really aligned with that. And then, so that was that. Piper's name came out of, we liked the P. Piper's name was because when Marley was pregnant with Piper, the doctors thought they saw a spot in her heart. Thought it might have been a hole in her heart. And not to play like I'm a mystic, but I had a moment when I was just praying through some stuff and I had like a vision of this little girl dancing around the throne of God. And so we named her Piper Grace, which is the graceful worshiper, because it came out of that vision. So that aligned. And then whenever we got pregnant with Benjamin, it was like, Benjamin is set. So his name is Benjamin David. So it was the beloved son of my right hand. And so it just made a lot of sense that we had known from the beginning. Benjamin made sense. David is my middle name. It's Marley's father's name. Yeah. So that was the alignment. So PP and B.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. I know for me, like having a girl as the first child was it was very game changing. Because you have like these visions of, just kind of rough and tumble boys and sons, and you have a girl.
Especially because like I think you and I have very similar raisings. I don't have sisters. I have a brother.
Yeah, I got a brother.
And so it's like there were no girls in my house other than my mom. So I didn't understand any of this stuff, you know? So in that, yeah, before Penelope, I was very much just push, aggressive, you know, just like this big, like domineering, like warrior worldview, which is still the warrior methodology to some of my systems in my life. But realistically, like my mindset now is much more focused on building something beautiful and prosperous and flourishing instead of just like domination and, you know, pushing forward and conquering. Like that's really it's not even a relevant consideration in my mind anymore. And part of it was because like, if I'm going to have these beautiful little girls running around, like I need the world to be a place that is conducive to their beauty flourishing, like the beauty of their soul continuing to grow in the environment that we have created as a generation.
Yeah. So how do you think, you talk about building something beautiful, like how does that translate to business?
So business, I would argue, and this just probably, it shouldn't be, but it's probably controversial, but I would have you consider that every relevant progression of society in the history of the world has come through entrepreneurship. And so without the entrepreneurs, the people who developed the things somewhere in a cave would not have actually brought it out into the world to change everything, right? So that is like, you have to have the mechanism of, or what I would consider entrepreneurship is taking resources at a certain level and elevating them to a higher level where it can serve more people. So that essentially is taking the risk of the elevation of the resources and the combination and the allocation of those resources. And so in doing that, I mean, look at Thomas Edison, that's an entrepreneur. Like, yes, he was an inventor, but there's plenty of guys that were tinkering around in their garages. Like, we don't have any idea how many people have invented wonderful things in the world throughout history, but had no idea how to tell anybody about it.
Yeah.
And if they don't know how to tell people about it, how to get the money to fund the rest. I mean, look at the institutions that we have, all the scientific progression. You can say, well, science is what did it. It's like, well, they raised money to be able to fund the science. And so you have to look at the entire ecosystem. And even those scientists that did that, the scientists that have made the most breakthrough were taking risks on things that other people didn't necessarily think would work or agree with. And I would say that in and of itself is also a variation of entrepreneurship. So to me, that is how building something beautiful comes into looking at what I have been given, my current circumstances, the facts of my life today, and then saying, what is the path that I need to take to create the outcome that is in my head through legitimate means and legitimate steps that create the outcome that I think is going to serve those around me to the highest ability.
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost like there's this idea of like opportunity cost with resources.
Absolutely.
Right. So it's like, what is the, and that's the risk, right?
It's
the
like, risk.
How precious is the resource?
Yes.
And then what's the opportunity cost?
That's it. Look at how many things, like we could make it exciting, funny, or weird. But like how many things you look at, like, I wonder how they figured that out. Right. And it's like somebody took a risk with a thing and it worked.
Yeah.
And then they communicated that to the tribe. And then the tribe grew and prospered because of it. That is entrepreneurship.
Yeah. Yeah. I almost get like a sense of like The Greatest Showman, right? Like the world we want to create.
That's it. That's absolutely what it is. I've never seen that, but that frame.
You've never seen The Greatest Showman?
Yeah, I need to, but no, I haven't.
Yeah, it's a classic, man. It's good.
I think
Hugh Jackman.
I've never seen it. I was thinking Zac Efron. I like kind of is it like a circus? Is it like a circus thing?
Yes. Yeah. Zac Efron is in it, actually.
Oh, is he? Okay. So I'm not all the way off.
No.
I'm not all the way off.
Actually, I forgot Zac Efron was in it.
Okay.
Because my kids just got through watching High School Musical. 1, 2, and maybe 3. Okay. I don't know. People think I'm a horrible parent. I don't know.
No, I get it.
If 3 is bad, we haven't watched that one yet.
Yeah. Make it clear. Make it clear.
Yeah.
So, well, no, I didn't know, but that's it. That's what it comes down to. But the difference between like even something like that, and this is something that like this was a download that came to me, and I'd joke and call it a divine download. That's called the value or the vision trap. Like I think this is
we talked about that.
Yeah, I think this is what separates entrepreneurs from people that want to be entrepreneurs or from people that just have good ideas.
Yeah.
And that is that like...
I love how Clay said one time, wantrepreneurs.
Yeah, wantrepreneurs. Yeah, that's it. Well, and so what it is like you have this... People that have a vision think they're an entrepreneur, but that's not necessarily true. The entrepreneurs are people who actually create an outcome in the world from the vision.
Yeah.
And so what happens is if you don't have an exact outcome that you've dialed in according to that. Now, it doesn't have to be the final outcome, but it's what's your next step? What's the next thing you're going to do?
Yeah.
Then that means you have now an unlimited future, which sounds appealing. You have an unlimited future. But the problem with an unlimited future is now you have unlimited days. And an unlimited day is inherently not unlimited. It is limited by time. It is constrained by time and energy. And so when you have an unlimited future and you have a limited day, you get in this analysis paralysis where you can't create anything because you have unlimited options of what to do next.
That's right.
And so you go back to the vision.
Yeah. And then you live in your parents' basement.
And where you have escaped to think about the vision you have because you've not done anything with it. So that's why it's a trap, because you always escape with the reality to go back to the vision and pretend that you're doing something that you're not.
Yeah.
And so that is why I would say like the difference between like in The Greatest Showman, I've not seen the movie, but people who are going to create something and just like have this entertainment cycle around it, if they've not actually built something in the world that's actually doing something functional around that, then that's not entrepreneurship. That's not creating value in the world around you.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are you doing right now? Like what are you trying to create?
What am I trying to create?
Yeah.
Integrity, depth, and progress.
You're trying.
What?
I said, what are you? So I say, what are you trying to create? And you
yes. You want me, how tactical do you want to make it? So in the conversation, so if we bring it back.
So I apologize. I didn't ask the question well enough. So I'm not talking
I'll agree with that.
What core value. Anytime I'm wrong, Jeremiah agrees. So not necessarily like the values that you are trying to create or instill. Like what are you putting your hands to? Like what are you trying to create that is building something beautiful, that is creating the world that you were trying to create for your children? What are you trying to build?
Those words are not just values to me. Those are the things. So integrity, for instance, integrity, what is that? Integrity combined with depth. I paused on the end because I didn't want to limit the explanation because I'm still in the lineup of how this is playing itself out. Currently, it's leadership teams that are working through this. It can be with entrepreneurs directly also, but it's in teams, in organizations, and whatever I'm putting my hands to. It is the fact maps that I sent you.
Yep.
Right. That getting clear on that and executing a plan where you accomplish across the line, that is integrity. So actually creating integrity in entrepreneurs and leadership, right?
I've done the fact maps yet, but I might be short on integrity in walking that out.
Yeah. See? So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That is integrity. Depth
I'm stuck in a vision cycle.
It's a vision trap.
Vision trap. Okay.
But so in that frame though, that is integrity. The depth is, when I sent those to you, I said, look, fill these out I actually probably didn't tell you this because I'd expect more out of you. But when I send them out to people, I'm normally like, fill them out to the level of
so
your comfort.
Even in your shortcomings, it's because you expected more out of it.
That's it. So when I send them to you, I just know you'll go deep on it.
Yeah.
Like I know you well enough to know like you're not going to hold back. You'll answer. And there's some people, I know that. There's some people I send it and I'm like, hey, fill it out to your level of comfort.
Yeah.
But the truth of it is, the reason the secondary part of integrity is depth is because you might have surface level integrity. Like you might look like you're all in alignment, because integrity, like what is that? It's integrated.
Yeah.
Because the system as a whole is integrated.
Yeah.
And so you might look like you have integrity at the surface, but when we dig a little bit deep, it's like, oh, you're way out of alignment, because maybe you have surface level integrity, but you don't even like your life. And that's a problem. Or you're lying about these other things that are going on behind the scenes, and it makes it look like this is true, but it's not.
Yeah.
And where this goes deeper is we start with an entrepreneur level, but what my experience has been most recently is as I start having conversations with entrepreneurs, I end up in roles in the leadership table. And then we start looking across the leadership team, and it's like, you're trying to build something here and all go together and all go the same way. But the whole thing is disintegrated. There are all these moving parts and none of them are anchoring toward the whole. And you wonder why over time you have not actually achieved the outcome that you set to be the outcome that you all stated and agreed about.
Yeah.
And so then you track through depth and integrity across each of those people and each of those lines. And if you can get a system and an organization, a family, a group of people together to be completely integrated within themselves and integrated toward a outcome that they're looking to get to, and every action and thought and responsibility throughout there, that is aiming toward that thing, you will overcome it. And how I landed here is because I just got sick of my own experiences of not getting the outcome, and then backtracking and being like, what the heck happened here? And then understanding where I was out of integrity in my own life. And that was the reason that these outcomes weren't occurring.
Yeah.
And my lead in a lot of times is finance. So I love finance. I've been a CFO of a couple companies. I'm in one of those roles right now. I'm doing fractional CFO work. So it's, I'm not a salaried person. I'm in a consultant basis, but I'm running that through. Why that's relevant is because the backstop of everything in business, whether people like it or not, is the money.
Yeah.
If the money is not coming through, if you are losing money as an organization, then your actions are not the right actions. And so your actions are out of integrity somewhere with the thing you said you're going to do. Because if you are serving your clients and your customers at the highest level, you are inherently creating value. What is value? Value is a result of an exchange that increases the experience of someone's life, either through outcomes within or outside their mind. And so in doing that, if you are not doing that to the highest level, you're not creating value, you will lose money. And then now you need to change your actions so that you can actually create value for the people you're serving. And then the results will show up on the income statement, on the balance sheet, in the cash flow statement, all back on the backstop.
Yeah.
So beyond core values, that's what that answer meant.
Yeah.
You got a loop now. I throw you for a loop.
No, I'm just, I'm just thinking about the integrity thing, because there's a lot to sort of bringing people into alignment. I think that's just the first step, right? I think we all have. So I think that's one of the first steps in development is self-awareness. Like, and if you're not aware of something, you can't change it. And so if we can increase our self-awareness to the degree that we notice things are incongruent or out of alignment, that's the first step. Then we start to change it. Mm-hmm. And so as you talk about like integrity with depth, that's kind of what I get from that. It's like, people, they might think they are operating with integrity, but there's an incongruency between who they really are and what they're trying to do. Now, there might not be an incongruency with who they want to be and what they're trying to do. Exactly. And then now that's the gap. Yes. Right? That's the gap that they need to work on.
That is what you need to address. Yeah. Now you need to address if the thing you say you want to do is what you are actually want to do. Yeah. You got to address that. And if it is, what needs to happen? Absolutely.
Yeah. I know from our time together, this maps most clearly for me onto physical fitness.
Okay.
Like I don't want to work out.
I don't
want to work out. Specifically, I don't want to lift weights.
Yeah.
Like I just don't want to do it.
Yeah.
But I want to be healthy. Mm-hmm. Right. And I want to have longevity. I want my hormones to be in balance. Mm-hmm. I want good bone density, because that leads to me being the grandfather that I want to be, the husband, the father, the grandfather. Like, and so I think, I don't know if I told you this, or I was talking to Jacob the other day, another one of our friends, it's got to be, the why has to be so clear for me, or I'm not going to wake up and do it.
Well, and that's when we're asking about the what you want, that is not a action question. That's an objective question. That is what is the objective we're aiming for here?
Yeah.
And that's how it has to be. So what do you want in your life? Because most of the time, what we will do, if we are left with them, we aren't looking beyond to what we want. Ultimately, what we want to do in the moment is usually counterintuitive to what we actually want. I guess it's completely off balance. Yeah. And actually you might be surprised by this. I agree. When I'm in the zone, I enjoy lifting weights, but like getting there, it's
hard to get there
in my life these days, man.
You got to warm up. You got to stretch. That's like 30 minutes.
We're over 30 now. We're both over 30.
I turn 40 next month. No. I turn 40 in April.
No, I'm turning 31 in May. So I feel like an old guy, but so anyway,
I do jump up a division in jiu-jitsu though at that point.
Good for you.
I know.
Real old man bracket.
That's right.
Anyway, so in that, you're right though, but you don't want to get ready to do the workout. Now, the fact of the matter, I was working through this the other day with filling out like a questionnaire. Mark Snyder actually invited me to go do a Spartan race with him.
No, he invited me too.
Did he? Did you say no? Pansy. Why'd you say no? Dude, I was like, I should invite Derek, but I don't know if Mark would want him to go or not. So I didn't invite you.
He's like texting me at the exact same time.
Well, you're invited now, and I think you should do it.
Oh my gosh.
Seriously, dude. I'm terrified of running. You know this. I've been running.
He signed up for the competition schedule.
We had a conversation. Yep. As the competitive bracket. I looked at the timing. It's a 10K.
7:30.
It's a 10K.
It's 7:30 in the morning.
I'll have to get a hotel down there and sleep the night before, but it's a 10K. Right?
Yeah,
it's
so that's
10K
6 miles, over 6 miles.
With 20 obstacles.
That's right.
So you're running 6 miles doing 20 obstacles. I said, well, what's the worst that could happen? And he's like, well, if I die, just resuscitate me. And I was like, yeah, same here. But the thing is, I set that because my current objectives, which we already through the Impossible Games maps and working through planning, basically my target was weaponizing my body to that level. And I was like, well, what the heck else is going to be more what will hold me more accountable than this?
October 20th.
Nothing will hold me more accountable than this year in my life. Like there's other things, right? Like we've done jiu-jitsu competitions. I've done weightlifting competitions, done all that stuff. Realistically, this year, that's a target that's outside of myself that I said yes to.
So you signed up? Have you?
I've got the tab open on my phone.
Now we have next steps from this podcast.
I said yes. I will sign up by the end of the day.
Okay. He said spots were limited.
Yeah, there were 70. That was in the open, and in the other one, in the competitive bracket, there were 70 spots left on chicken.
Because people aren't dumb enough to do the competitive bracket.
Yeah, I know.
How tall are you?
6 foot, 6'1" on a
How
good
tall
day.
is Mark?
Like 6'5".
Bro, I'm gonna be like Marvin the Martian behind you guys.
You can outrun both of us, though. I'm sure.
Yeah,
we'll just throw you over the obstacles. I'll just help on that front. Right. But no, I really think seriously. Like, I want a commitment on this podcast. Like, I think you should do it.
For me to do it?
Yeah,
I've done one before.
Do it again. You didn't do it when you were 40.
That is correct. I did not.
Be an example, Derek.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we'll come back to that.
When?
Well, I mean, however long we talk.
Okay. That's the one note I'm gonna.
That's the one note. Sure, I should take. Mark, if you're listening.
That's so fun. What's so funny? That's our personality difference too. Is that I was like, yeah, I'll do it. I'm down. And then I moved on, and I'll do it. You know me well enough to know. I'm like, I'll do it.
Yeah, me, I'm like, I'm not going to do it.
You're like, I'm not.
I'm going to end up doing it.
But you knew the exact date. I can't even choose the date. I was
looking at my calendar.
I'm waiting for somebody to remind me to do it. Like, I'll show up.
Oh my goodness!
But
I did. Pastor Lee actually made me a pulley. So I've got a pulley because one of the obstacles is like a sandbag pull, and so you could tie a rope around this pulley. I actually have a rope tied in my barn for the rope climb.
So we have a training facility at your house.
Yeah, and it's actually if you've never tried to climb a rope, like it is a skill.
I've done rope climbs.
It's a skill.
You do them no legs, or do you do them with 2 legs?
Legs.
Oh yeah.
Do I look like the kind of guy that can do it with just my arms?
Hey, you never know, man. You never know. Strength is nervous system.
It's not what's under this jacket here.
Strength's not muscular. It's nervous system. So
yeah. Well, I lack both.
I promise you, your listeners are disappointed right now that you didn't say yes.
I didn't say yes. It's the F3 podcast, by the way, not F4.
It's not F4. I'm telling you, you got to add it in there.
Okay. All right. Well, we're strong consideration now.
Cool. So where are we going next on this map you've got?
I don't know. You've derailed my entire podcast. I was meant to be asking the questions. I don't know. So yeah, we talked a little bit about your family. We got your family, Penelope, Piper, Benjamin, Marley, integrity with depth. Well, you mentioned another thing you were trying to build along with that, integrity with depth, and
well, it's targets. And I'm trying not to be too, I don't want to be too like. I understand marketing well enough to understand that the way that you develop the words and the frames matters, right? All
sure.
That's relevant.
I will put a link in the show notes and all that fun stuff. Yeah.
But realistically, I just it's focus. I think maybe focus. Yeah. So. Just are we all looking at the right thing, at the same thing, and because I'm doing this at an organizational level in my current engagements. And again, we've talked a little bit, I've got a couple people I'm doing it one-on-one with, and that's wonderful. And I enjoy that, but you can only be as effective as the people around you. Yeah. And so, and again, not even, effective being like creating outcomes in the world. Right. Yeah. So that's in your family level. That's in your business. That is in your church organization. That is in your jiu-jitsu gym. Like, why do we throw out people, why do we produce a higher level people at lower ranking belts. It's because of the level of the people in the gym, the level of the coach. Like that's a huge thing.
Yeah.
So in that, when I'm working with, if it's just a leader, and this is what I've learned from like my own buying businesses, right? So buying a business, being involved in that, if the level of people in the organization are not committed to the same level of the integrity and depth, and I'm not using that as like a moral statement of the integrity. Like I'm using it in the way that we just described it, right? I'm not calling people bad people. But if everyone that's responsible for creating outcomes in the organization isn't operating with that same level, then you're going to have problems, period. And so what happens is I can come in with you as a leader and we can just talk about it with just us, and that's wonderful. And I can help work through problems. We can dissect things. We can aim for targets. But if you're not the kind of leader that can produce and have conversations throughout the organization and create other, pockets of that same depth and integrity and focus and anchor it all toward the same one, then you'll still not have any effective outcomes. So I realized that in working through staff issues at businesses that I'm in ownership of. And that's a painful recognition because I love people. I like at the root of it, like you and I have worked through this a lot. Like I really care about people. And so like I want to work things out with people. I want things to work. I want for them. And the truth is like there are some moments in some situations in some, pockets that wrong person, wrong seat, that kind of a deal. And you have to figure out what to do with it. And then, Warren Buffett talks about how when a businessman with a reputation for good performance comes into contact with a business with a reputation for bad economics, it's usually the business that leaves with its reputation intact. So, and working through that, that really came down to me more deeply in my understanding of it being people, which is why I'm in finance. My original, we talked about the real estate thing. My original background, real estate, finance. But you know everything you want to know about real estate and finance. And if you can't create an effective group of people around you, if you can't be an effective person yourself, then nothing that you know matters at all. And so that is, you disagree?
I don't know if I agree fully.
Push back. I love it.
Yeah. So you said that. So I agree with you on the people part, but I do think there's still some value to the things that you think and value and do. Yeah.
So what does value mean?
Well, you defined it previously.
No, I want you to define it because you're using it in a sentence now.
So what is value? I mean, I would agree with you to the extent like it's when you create value in someone's life, like you are bringing something to the equation that wasn't previously there, right? So it's like you are either taking a set of resources and improving them. I think that's the simplest explanation for me. I think is taking a set of resources because everything's already there, right? Like they have the information, they may have the stuff, but it's just like I don't have home renovation skills. Like I wish I did. Like all the stuff's at Lowe's, right? Like
you could get it.
I could go get it, but if I don't know what to do with it,
So what do you disagree with?
No value.
What are you not agreeing with what I said?
I guess it's not necessarily that I disagree. I think there's more to be said. So I completely agree about people in the organization, like bringing people around you. But I think having those thoughts by yourself, that's a first step. So there is some value to that. Well, maybe not. I don't know. The more obviously we're live time talking this out. So
process it, man.
Yeah. So because
that's the thing is what I would say is if you just have those thoughts and you're not effective at communicating them, then it's irrelevant. You did not create value. Them staying in your head doesn't help anyone.
Yeah. Because even in my example, like
you brought them out into the world to people around you.
That's right. And the tools and the resources and the materials.
Yeah, that's it. You did it. You did the thing.
Yeah, but you have a thought about building a set of cabinets.
But there's tons of people have thoughts about it, but they don't do anything about it. They did not create value.
Yeah.
Now that's not questioning Jim Rohn's good on this. Like that's not saying you're not a valuable human person. You're not a valuable, creation of God. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the creation of value in the world around you.
Yeah.
Like if I was born, and then you brought up the mom's basement thing at the very beginning of the podcast, like nothing wrong with mom's basement, but
no, I didn't say there's wrong with it. No, I think there is something wrong with it.
Okay.
Like if you sit around and just have dreams and visions all day without doing something,
absolutely,
there's
I'm
something
just
wrong
sitting
with
in
that.
my mom's basement all day, every day.
Yeah.
I am wasting the gift that I have been given.
Yeah.
Which is life.
Yeah. So creating value requires
Action. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And to create value as an organization, it requires actions that are in sync.
Yeah.
Like they all have to be in integrity, right? The integrity builds out from the one person level and then it flows throughout the organization. Each person has to be in alignment with that, and all of those have to be lining toward the exact outcome. Yeah. So what we do is we'll create a map that literally lines that out, both at an organizational level as the ecosystem, but then also on a timeline based on to where the entire organization, we know what so there's a company I'm working with right now, Covert Media is what they're called. Okay. Phenomenal company, like phenomenal video editing company, or they're video ad company. So they have a high ticket offer. Multiple 5 figures. So,
define that. Like, what's high ticket offer mean?
For them, so like their flagship offer is $25,000 for you to get them to create a 6 to 7 minute sales video, and then 4 ads and a couple funnels and some other things off of it. So $25,000 for them to create this suite of videos for your company. And I think that high ticket, I think typically they define anything over like $5,000 as high ticket for like a product that you're selling, or like a level service. But that's it. And then they've got that as their flagship offer. And then they've got like for them to just do the one video for you is like $10,000. But these videos are remarkable, and they've got some really high name clients. I don't know if I'm allowed to like name drop, so I won't.
Yeah.
But there's some like people that I promise you, like you've seen them.
Oh yeah. We've talked about this offline. Like I've been exposed to some of the organizations that they work for.
Absolutely. It's a very high level company. So so in that their mission is produce 100 CIA systems. That's the name of their product, their flagship offer. Produce 100 CIA systems by 2025. That's the mission. Everything in the organization is altering around that. Now, what is the purpose of the organization?
Very specific.
It is. That's the mission.
Good.
What's the purpose? Edit the world to be a better place. Because they're video editors. So they're editing. Yeah. So what is my role in that? So I came in as a CFO, like stepping in then. I've got a COO that just stepped in alongside me. He's a cool dude. He's a retired Black Hawk helicopter fighter pilot. But we were coming together, we're having conversations. What we just got done doing was literally mapping out, all right, everything in this organization this year has to track to 100 CIA systems by 2025, period. And everyone needs to know that. And every decision we make is going to be anchored around that. Mm-hmm. And in that frame, now we understand, like, if this mission happens, we all win, period. Because that will create the income. It will also create the creative outlets for the editors. It will also create the growth of the business through community and through marketing and all of these other things. Mm-hmm. So the systems and the people and the optics that we have to build out as an organization to attain that mission will make us better people, better organization, a stronger company, and it will serve 100 clients to what we believe is like the highest capacity. Like, this product is so good. Like, I've worked with a lot of companies. This is one thing, like, I'm excited working with them about this product because it is so good. And there's some things like you help people build their business and you're like, I like this guy, so I'm helping him. You know, he's a good guy. He's got a good, he's got a good heart. I'll help him with his business, Yeah. This is one of those things like, they're good guys. Like, they really want to make the world a better place, but they also have a phenomenal offer. And so that makes us aiming everything in the organization toward that mission. We win.
So the mission is only 1 year.
Yeah, we'll have a new mission next year. Yeah.
Any long-term mission?
So that would be the purpose, right? That would be the purpose is more ethereal. Now, at their level, they've been, I can't share their numbers, but like I can tell off screen, I can tell you they wouldn't mind that. But like, you can imagine at that offer rate, if you have $25,000, if you make 4 sales, you're at $100,000 a month, right? You can just imagine that as an organization, so you can kind of see the scale of the number. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So they've been doing this for a year or so, actively pushing the way they are. Really, they're 5-6 months in to really building out an organization rather than being a couple editors and directors just doing it. And so in that, well, how the heck are they supposed to set a 25-year target? That doesn't make sense. Right? Like they're not focused on that right now, which is what has made them so effective, especially because they're creatives. So like they're product facing guys.
Yeah.
So like you and I in our business outcomes, we might aim more for like that 20 years because we're more organizationally, structurally, community and finance minded.
Yeah.
So we're looking at like, okay, here's this thing we're going to build. This is how it's going to work. This is how this is all going to flow together.
Mm-hmm.
For them, they have a product that they are absolutely obsessed with.
Yeah.
And so their mission is to get that product into the world. Now, next year, once we've hit that target, we've done 100 of these things. Cool. Well, then this year, what are we going to do? And then maybe we know that in 5 years, we want to have this going on.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's how it'll spread there. But that's why the mission is 1 year right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's great. Like, I mean, I'm really kind of hyper focused on, that value creation requires action.
Mm-hmm.
And, creating value in an organization requires people to be aligned and in coordination.
Absolutely.
And then we align people through the mission and the purpose.
Absolutely.
Yeah, focus on the mission and the purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's intriguing. I mean, in organizations, at least from my experience in the organization, I mean, like the people, they can be your greatest asset, and they can also be not your greatest asset.
I would have you consider that all the best organizations in the world, what really separates them, they can posture that they're better at X, Y, Z.
Yep.
I'd have you consider what really separates them is their people.
100%.
Every time.
I agree.
So, and it starts with the leader. Candidly, we don't like to say that, but like, cause it's kind of hard to accept sometimes, but like
mm-hmm.
I have a mentor who was having a conversation with another mentor of both of ours. And he's like, man, I can't, I'm selling these clients this thing and they're paying me money, but I can't get them to do this thing. And he said, no, you can't get them to take any action. He said, no, he said, sounds to me like you're taking money from pansies. And we know it was through the warrior ecosystem. So there was other terminology used, but that was the basic.
Yeah.
So he said, well, do you know how to stop doing that? He's like, how? He said, stop being a pansy. And so he literally took that and ran with it. Like he wrote on his arm with a Sharpie as a archaic as that might seem, stop taking money from pansies.
Yeah.
Took a picture of it, posted online, got like 5 clients to come in this consulting organization, paying him $10,000 each, like $50,000 out of one post on his arm saying, so that he could teach people to stop taking money from pansies. So
yeah.
What I in that conversation I was listening to, I was like, man, so what does that mean if you have an organization, you keep building out ineffective teams, what's that say about you?
You're an ineffective leader.
Absolutely. So how do you solve it?
Become an effective leader.
That's it. So
all my teams are so effective. I can't believe it. I mean, they're so effective.
Man.
So effective.
I'm sure they are. I mean, I've been running a long time. You got a much more effective organization than most people even dream about. So I have no doubt.
We have a good one.
High level on your team for sure. No doubt.
But it is hard. People are hard. And, being involved in, different organizations, you really have to be focused on your people and the health of your people.
Mm-hmm. You have to create something that is a container that is large enough for their vision.
Yeah.
And that is the thing that because at the ultimate level, the most effective people, why are they going to work for you instead of either someone else or themselves? Why would they choose that? And so the incentive has to be like the entire thing that they see being meaningful, important, and relevant can occur within the ecosystem of the mission and purpose you're creating as a leader. And so if that is the case, then they can marry themselves alongside that. And there's no limit. There's no limitation to them executing on that alongside you. There's no reason to leave. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So let's talk about self-development, leadership. I can't say everybody wants to be an effective leader, but wanting to be an effective leader, an effective individual, someone that's able to show up and bring value. Like, what are some of the things that you do to make sure that you're in that place, or that you're becoming the person you need to become?
Yeah. So I would say the most impactful, pivotal moment in my life was around 20. Actually in your office, in the first office we were in 2017. I was searching for something on the internet and came across a logo. Actually, I just thought it was a cool logo.
Yeah.
And it was a warrior shield, and it had to do with some business stuff. And I was like, oh, that's cool. But I couldn't afford the what I stumbled upon at that time.
Yeah.
It was like a 1 week experience for leaders to be involved with. It was $25,000 for this 1 week.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was just like, not going to swing that. So I saved it to my phone just to use as like a background on my screen, and then just moved on with my life. And then in 2020, there was an offer that was made through the organization that I bid on. And so it's an operating system, basically. It's a combination of an operating system and a belief system that I have yet to discover anything that even comes close to rivaling it in creating a alignment and effectiveness, willfulness in the levels of consciousness we would talk about toward actually achieving a life that you desire across the four relevance. You have the F3 podcast.
Right. I don't like to work out.
F3. But and he uses a different terminology, but it comes from the same root of faith, family, fitness, finance. Yeah. So for him, it's body, being, balance, and business. Mm-hmm. So I got involved in that organization, and candidly, and I mean this in the best way possible, but the problem that I ran into is I looked around myself and I was like, I see I have some wonderful business mentors. Mm-hmm. But and I've got some solid fitness mentors. I got some people I see with like really good family lives. And I see people that are like on fire for God and like following him and hear the voice in their head, and all that stuff. I'm not seeing people that I see killing it in all four of those realms.
Man, if I just enjoyed working out, I could have been that guy for you.
You could have. You dropped the ball. You let me not do the Spartan race. Anyway, you will fulfill my dream.
We're going to get on our phones before this thing's over. We're both going to sign up for a Spartan race.
So in that frame, though, Warrior exposed me to a level of men that were doing that.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the heck is this? And then they layered it on with me being involved with that. They essentially released a training mechanism that that I qualified to become certified through their program to be a warrior trainer. So in that, the basic frame is we live by a code. We attack with the stack. Mm-hmm. We shield with the core. We open the door to win the impossible game. So that's so
just a little too much rhyming there for me not to smile. Yeah.
So in that, the impossible game basically would be the mission. Right. Mm-hmm. So you'd set a mission for everywhere across your life. Yeah. So you have a mission in your body. Uh-huh. You have a mission in your relationships. You have a mission, with your wife and your children. You have a mission across the spirituality, which seems like, a mission in your spirituality, but it's like, no, you're looking for outcomes.
Yeah. And I would say, like, if for any listeners that like the mission is not like that word doesn't resonate, like it's an intention. Right. You're setting an intention.
No, you're not. You're looking for an outcome. I got called militant last week, and I thought it was really like, I was like, no way, there's no way. And then my wife's like, So, you could call it what you want, but it's you're setting targets, setting outcomes. Yeah. Like you're setting a thing, like by the end of the year, I want to, or I will this thing.
Yep.
And it has to be, the reason it's called an impossible game is because the person you are today will not achieve that thing.
Yeah.
Like you have to become a different human being in order to get that. You have to become a different organization. So the organization you have today cannot achieve the impossible game. Who do I have to become to achieve it? Now it has to be attainable. It can't be like some off the wall thing.
Yeah.
Right. But it's like, what could you do? Stretch it out like 25%.
Yeah.
That hurts a little bit.
Yeah.
But we're going to have to change some things, but we can do it. Like if we really focus, we could achieve this.
Uh-huh.
So you set that across that, and then in your business realm, you'll set it up the same mission orientation. All of them again tracking toward the whole mission of the business, and then you break that into quadrants in the business. I don't need to go into weeds on that unless you want me to, but then that comes in. So to break down that statement that I made, we live by a code. It's very simple. It's stop lying across your life. Mm-hmm. Stop lying, because people lie about basically everything. And they don't even know they're lying a lot of the times. They lie to themselves at one level, and then beyond lying to themselves, they'll lie to people around them, even if it's through lies of commission or omission, right? Like you could lie by telling a lie or lie by not saying something you should say. So in that is the first level. If you can just get someone to stop lying about everything, and that's even like, and people will may be offended by that. But again, you said before we started the podcast, it could be a risk.
I mean, yeah.
But if you're at the leadership table and you have a scorecard, because we run everything I do through scorecards, and you have this guy that's shown up 3 weeks in a row and he's missing the score, and you're like, okay, hey, I'm not upset with you. I'm not judging you. You've missed the score 3 weeks in a row. What's going on? And he gives you some bull excuse that is not real, and you let that slide, you're lying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so to be able to hold your integrity and in love, right? Mm-hmm. But in authority, like, hey, I understand you're saying that, but we need this to happen. We all know it's you were in the conversation. We agreed these are relevant targets that we can hit.
Yeah.
And so we need to figure out what's actually going on.
Yeah.
So we track that starting out with the fact maps,
Mm-hmm.
which leave no room for hiding or lying.
Yeah.
You could lie, but get out if you do, right?
But like the third question, like, is that really?
Exactly. It goes deep. And so that's the code is stop lying.
Yeah.
The stack is it's a thought mechanism. It's It's a journaling process to help you learn, understand, and commune with God through writing. The core, the shield with the core is what a lot of people miss. That is your body, your being, and the balance.
Mm-hmm.
That is the power area that you get to produce in your business. So with shield with the cores, there's so many businessmen that think they're building the right thing because they put all their focus into business, only to turn around and realize that their family is falling apart. They look like trash because they eat like trash, and they have no connection to their creator, and they have no real purpose in life because they've not taken the time to sit back and see if what they're building is actually relevant to what their soul desires.
Yeah.
And so what the core is, we shield with it because if everything crumbles in my business, I still have my life. And so that's why it's shield with the core. You go back there, you start your day with it, you end your day with it.
Mm-hmm.
The shield is encompassing the thing I'm producing in the business. The door is just a mechanism. It's just a fancy marketed, branded version of OKRs. It's just applying the objective and key result function of corporate goal achievement or objective achievement. It's applying that to your week. So each week it's seek, knock, ask would be the biblical frame.
Yeah.
You're approaching what is the most important thing I'm going to do in my business this week? And then you set that up, to work through. And then winning the impossible game is just actually achieving the things that you called intentions that I would say are outcomes.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I think it's a great time to sign up for a Spartan race.
I sure think it is too.
Yeah. All right. Well, Jeremiah, I really appreciate you coming on. I mean, I can't say enough about your friendship. I really appreciate the healthy pushback, the healthy tension. You mean a lot to me, man. Appreciate it,
man.
So thanks for joining us.